Can anyone please respond whether my screen is visible or not? Can anyone please respond whether my screen is visible or not?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Visible, sir. It is visible.
Okay, and please let me know that whether my PPT is visible or not.
Visible, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So, good morning to all of you. Before starting the today's class, let me give you a brief recap of what we have did in the last class. If you remember, in the last class we have started the finite element modeling procedure of a truss member. We have seen that what is a truss, and we have also seen that a truss consists of number of members known as elements, and each element is joined by two nodes. Okay, we have also seen how we can number each element and each element of a truss, as well as the node numbering. And we have discussed about the different types of coordinate systems which we use to specify the position and orientation of a particular element of a truss member. In today's class, what we will be doing is we will be looking into the degree of freedom of a truss element. If I say assume any one truss element, I know that that particular truss element comprises of two node. Then what will be the degree of freedom of a particular node when it is placed in local coordinate system and when it is placed in global coordinate system? Fine, let us assume this figure. In this figure, it is very much clearly it is visible that xy is my global coordinate system and x dash y dash is my local coordinate system. So if you consider a truss element in local coordinate system, see, I have considered one truss element comprising of node 1 and node 2 in local coordinate system. You can clearly see that the truss element can move only in one direction, in local coordinate system. It can be in local x axis or it can be in local y axis. That means I can say that node 1 is having 1 degree of freedom. Suppose that degree of freedom is q1, and this q1 is nothing but the displacement of the node. Similarly, node 2 is having again 1 degree of freedom, that is q2. That means I can say that in altogether a truss element has 2 degree of freedom, one at each node in local coordinate system. Is it clear? Any doubt regarding the degree of freedom of a truss element in local coordinate system? Please respond. Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Clear.
Okay. If I assume the same truss element in global coordinate system, if I assume the same truss element in global coordinate system, that means I am having global x-axis, I am having global y-axis, and let us find out that each node of a particular element is having how many degrees of freedom. Then you can see that each node will have in altogether 2 degree of freedom. That means your node 1 can move along x-axis also, and it can move along y-axis also. Similarly, node 2 can move along x-axis also, and it can move along y-axis also. Fine, so I can say that this particular truss element is having 4 degrees of freedom, 2 degree of freedom at each node. So you should keep in mind, because we will be requiring this degree of freedom concept in solving the problems of the truss element. Okay, so if I summarize, I can say that if your truss element is present in local coordinate system, it will have in altogether 2 degree of freedom, 1 degree of freedom at each node. And if the same truss element is present in global coordinate system, it will have in altogether 4 degree of freedom, that is 2 degree of freedom at each node. Now how this q1 is coming, how this is q2, how this is q3, how this is q4, that we will discuss later on. So far it is clear? Any doubt regarding the degree of freedom concept?
No, sir, no doubt.
Okay, fine. Now let us see how we can assign degree of freedom to a particular truss member when it is placed in global coordinate system, because we have seen in the last class that solving the truss problem in global coordinate system is easy than to solve the same truss problem in local coordinate system. So let us assume, if you see the second figure, if you see the second figure, let us assume that this is global y-axis and this is my global x-axis. Fine. That means each node, I have to measure the distances of each node from global x-axis as well as from global y-axis. This is your truss member. It comprises of in altogether 13 elements are there and 8 nodes are present. If I talk about say node number 1, I can say that when this entire truss element is present in global coordinate system, each element will have 4 degree of freedom. If I consider the first element, this is my first element, it comprises of 2 nodes, node 1 and node 2. That is, this is your node 1 and this is your node 2, this is your element 1. I have told you that in global coordinate system this element will have 4 degree of freedom, 2 degree of freedom at each node. Now how to assign the degree of freedom? This is the rule. Assume, if you can see this particular encircle diagram, fine, this is the rule. Assume that this dot is nothing but your node. Say that node point is your I is the node point. Then along x-axis your degree of freedom will be q suffix 2 times of I minus 1, and along y-axis your degree of freedom will be q suffix 2 times of I. That means when I am talking about node number 1, then along x-axis degree of freedom will be 2 times of value of I is 1, 2 into 1 is 2, 2 minus 1 is 1. That means along x-axis degree of freedom is q1, and along y-axis degree of freedom will be 2 into 1, that is 2, 2 into 1, that is 2. So you can see that q1 and q2, these are the 2 degree of freedom of node point 1. That means q1 is the displacement of node 1 along global x-axis and q2 is the displacement of node 1 along global y-axis. Similarly, if I talk about node 2, what will be the node numbering scheme? Again, value of I at node 2 is nothing but 2. So along x-axis, the value will be q times of 2 in I, value of I is 2. 2 2s are 4, 4 minus 1 is 3. That is q3 along x-axis, and along y-axis it will be 2 times of I is 2. So 2 into 2 is 4. So q4. So you can see that along at node 2, I am having 2 degree of freedom. Q3 is the displacement of node 2 along global x-axis and Q4 is displacement of node 2 along global y-axis. Similarly, in the same manner, you can represent other, that is degree of freedom of other nodal points by this procedure. say if I talk about this particular element, it comprises of node 3 and node 4. So if I talk about node 3, the 2 degree of freedom will be along node 3. It is because I'm that is value of I is 3, so 2 into 3 is 6, 6 minus 1 is 5, so it will be q5 along x-axis, and along y-axis value of I is 3, 3 2 just 6, q6. Similarly, if I talk about node 4, degree of freedom along global x-axis will be value of I is 4, 4 2 is 8, 8 minus 1 is 7, q7 along global x-axis, and along global y-axis it will be 2 times of I, and value of I is 4, 4 2 is 8, that is q8. Likewise, you can denote the degree of freedom of each node along global x and global y axis. Is it clear? The node numbering scheme displays, that is degree of freedom numbering scheme of each node of a trust member. Any doubt in this? Hello, any doubt so far?
No, sir, no.
Okay, so we have to remember this concept while solving the problems of trust. Okay, fine. So let us move forward. Next is, if you remember, when we were solving the one dimensional bar problem, we have derived the elemental stiffness matrix, and that elemental stiffness matrix was given by the expression, that is elemental stiffness matrix K is E into A by length of the element 2 cross 2 matrix, that is 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. Similarly, for a truss member also we have to derive the elemental stiffness matrix in global coordinate system. Fine. If you consider a truss member, you consider any particular member or any particular element, it will have some stiffness. So that stiffness matrix from global coordinate system, if we measure, that is given by this particular expression, that is elemental stiffness matrix is given by E suffix small e into A suffix small e divided by L suffix small e into, it is a 4 cross 4 matrix. Why it is a 4 cross 4 matrix? Because if you see each element, say if I talk about this element, if I talk about this particular element is having total 4 degree of freedom, q15 q16 along for node number 8, and q13 and q14 for node number 7. And I have told you earlier that the size of the stiffness matrix depend upon the degree of freedom of an element. For one dimensional bar element we were having only 2 degree of freedom, so that's why we were getting 1 minus 1 minus 1 1, that is 2 cross 2 matrix. For this truss element, the entire element is having total 4 degree of freedom, so the size of the matrix will be 4 cross 4 matrix, that is L square Lm minus L square minus Lm Lm m square minus Lm minus m square minus L square minus Lm L square Lm minus Lm minus m square Lm m square. In this stiffness matrix, capital E suffix small e represent modulus of elasticity of the element. What is A suffix small e? It is the area of the truss element which we are considering. And what is L suffix small e? L suffix small e is the equivalent length of the element in global coordinate system. L suffix small e is the equivalent length of the element in global coordinate system. And by equivalent length, I mean, for example, say you are interested in writing down the stiffness matrix for this particular element. For this particular element, stiffness matrix is nothing but this particular expression, in which E is what? The modulus of elasticity of that particular element. A is the area of cross section of that particular truss element, and L is the equivalent length. L is the equivalent length for this particular element. That is, L is the equivalent length for this particular element from the global coordinate system. From the global coordinate system. Is it clear so far? Any doubt? In the next slide we will derive how this stiffness matrix has came. So far you have to remember the stiffness matrix while solving the problems. Is it clear so far?
Yes, sir.
Okay, other people please respond whether it is clear or not.
Clear,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay, fine. Now let us see what is this equivalent length of the element. What is this equivalent length of the element? Let us assume that, this is my global x axis, and this is my global y axis. Let us consider one element of a truss member. This is element 1, comprising of two nodes, node 1 and node 2. Say this element is oriented in global xy coordinate system by an angle theta with global x axis. By an angle theta with global x axis. And this length of this element, this length of the element is nothing but LE, that is equivalent length of the element. How I can calculate this length of the element? For that I have to do one small construction. If I make this element a right angle triangle, how I can make it? From this end drop a perpendicular, from this end drop a base, then this is your right angle triangle. Fine. This distance is how much? This distance will be, if I say this node point 1 is having coordinate value x1 comma y1, that means this node point 1 is at a distance x1 from global x-axis and is at a distance y1 from global y-axis. Similarly, this node 2 is at a distance capital X2 from global x-axis and capital Y2 from global y-axis. Then this length, this base will be how much? It is nothing but x2 minus x1, because from here to here is your x2, and from here to here is your x1. So this length will be x2 minus x1. This base will be your x2 minus x1, and this perpendicular will be what? I know that from here to here this length is your y2 and this particular length is your y1. So this length of the perpendicular will be y2 minus y1. Length of the perpendicular will be y2 minus y1. Now for this right angle triangle, if you use Pythagoras theorem, I can write hypotenuse square is equal to base square plus perpendicular square. Then you can write this LE square is equal to base square. Base square is your x2 minus x1 whole square plus perpendicular square, which is nothing but your y2 minus y1 whole square, or I can write LE is equal to under root x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. So this is the way by which I can calculate the equivalent length of any element present in the entire structure in the entire truss structure. Is it clear? The calculation part of the equivalent length of the element, how I am getting under root x2 minus x1 whole square plus y2 minus y1 whole square. Any doubt? Any doubt?
No, sir. No,
No,
sir.
sir. No, sir.
Okay, So where what is x1, x2 and y1, y2? x1, x2 and y2 and y1, y2 are corresponding coordinate point of nodal point 1 and nodal point 2. Fine. And what are these? If you see the stiffness matrix, what is this L and M? Your L and M are your direction cosines. I hope you have read about direction cosines in your three-dimensional coordinate geometry in mathematics. What are L and M? L and M are your direction cosines. L is given by cos theta and M is nothing but your sin theta. So from the diagram I can easily find out if this is my node point 1, if this is my node point 2, and this is the right angle triangle theta. I know that base is how much? Base is your x2 minus x1 and length of the perpendicular is your y2 minus y1. If L is cos theta, then from this diagram I can write cos theta is base by hypotenuse. Cos theta is base. Base is your x2 minus x1 divided by hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is nothing but equivalent length of the column. So I can replace L by cos theta and I can replace this cos theta by x2 minus x1 by LE. Similarly, what is M? M is your sine theta. And what is sine theta from the diagram? Sine theta from the diagram is perpendicular by hypotenuse. Perpendicular is your y2 minus y1 divided by hypotenuse is your LE. So I can replace sine theta by y2 minus y1 by LE. So remember these equations, all these equations we will be using it while solving the problem. That means for each and every element in the truss system, you have to find out the equivalent length of the element, that is LE. You have to find out the values of direction cosines L and M. And then you can write down the stiffness matrix for that particular element. Is it clear? Any doubt so far regarding the direction cosines?
No, sir, no doubt.
Okay, fine. So since we know that this is the expression for element stiffness matrix for a truss element in global coordinate system. Now if you apply force to any node of a truss member, definitely that truss member will exhibit some kind of stress. Then we can also find out the elemental stress matrix for a truss member. How we will give? We know that for a one dimensional bar element, we have already derived that for a one dimensional bar element, this stress matrix is given by E suffix small e divided by L suffix small e into, that is 1 cross 4 matrix, that is minus L minus M L M into this q vector, if you are talking about one dimensional bar element, fine, in local coordinate system. Now one dimensional bar element in local coordinate system is having only 2 degree of freedom. That means if I talk about say node 1, node 2, in LCS it is having only 2 degree of freedom along x direction. Say the degree of freedom is q1 for node 1 and q2 for node 2, then this q matrix will be a 2 cross 1 matrix, that is q1 and q2. But when you represent this same 1D bar element in global coordinate system, that is for truss element, I know that in global coordinate system a truss element is having in altogether 4 degrees of freedom, 2 degree of freedom at each node. Then if we are representing the same truss element in global coordinate system, then it will have q1 along global x-axis, q2 along global y-axis by following that node numbering scheme, that is q of 2y minus 1 along x-axis and q of 2y along y-axis. Similarly, it will have q3 along global x-axis and q4 along global y-axis, then this global displacement vector, it will have total 4 cross 1 matrix, that is q1, q2, q3, q4. This will be your nodal displacement vector matrix when you consider the entire truss element in global coordinate system. So that is sigma is equal to E suffix small e divided by L suffix small e 4 cross 1 matrix minus L minus M L M into Q vector matrix. Q is your displacement vector matrix. For a 1D bar element in LCS, Q matrix will be a 2 cross 1 matrix, and for GA, and if this particular element is present in GCS, then this Q matrix will be a 4 cross 1 matrix. Is it clear? Any doubt so far? Any doubt so far? कोई डाउट है किसी को?
No, sir.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, okay. So fine. Next is the derivation of element stiffness matrix for the truss element. So far I have, in the previous slide I have shown you that what is the value of the elemental stiffness matrix. Now how this elemental stiffness matrix is coming, that we will be showing it in the next, that I will be showing it to you all in the next few slide. Just wait. Okay. For that, in order to derive the elemental stiffness matrix for a truss element, let us consider one truss element. Let us consider one truss element. Assume that this is my truss element. This truss element is having two nodes, node 1 and node 2. This is element number 1. If I talk about say local coordinate system, if I talk about say local coordinate system, fine, then this truss element will have 2 degree of freedom, one along each node, one along each node. Fine. How that degree of freedom will come? If you apply force or load on the joint of the truss element. So when you apply a load or force on joint of a truss element, this truss element will get displaced to some new location. Say that new location is this location. Now this is the new position of the element number 1 due to application of force at the joint. Node 1, node 2. That means this was the initial position of node 1. Now this is the final position of node 1. This was the initial position of node 2. Now this is initial position of node 2. Okay. Then you can see in this diagram. Fine. Then if I consider this particular truss element in LCS, it will have 2 degree of freedom, one along each node. Let that degree of freedom is denoted by Q dash. So for node 1, that degree of freedom is Q1 dash. For node 2, that degree of freedom is Q2 dash. That means this is the initial position of node 1. This is the final position of node 1. So from node 1, from the final position of node 1, from the initial position of node 1, this is the displacement, that is q1 dash. Similarly, this is your final position of initial position of node 2, and this is the final position of node 2. So in between distance is your displacement q2 dash. Is it clear? Is it clear so far? Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. Others, please respond whether any doubt is there or not.
So please repeat the last one.
Last one, last three. I am having one truss element. Okay. If you apply, see, you can only apply force at the joints or at the node of the truss element. When you apply force on the nodes or at the joint of the truss element, what will happen? This truss element will deflect, fine, or will displace by some amount. So when this truss element is displacing by some amount, definitely your position of node will change. This is the initial position of node 1, and this is the final position of node 1. This is the initial position of node 2, this is the final position of node 2. If you assume that this particular element is placed in local coordinate system, then this element will have 2 degree of freedom, 1 degree of freedom along each node. So from this final position, if I draw a straight line like this, from this initial position of node 1, if I draw a straight line like this, then in between distance is the distance displaced by this node 1. Say that distance displaced is q1 dash. This is 1 degree of freedom. Similarly, this is the initial position of node 2. This is the final position of node 2. In between the distance is your q2 dash. This is the degree of freedom for node 2 after the application of force in local coordinate system. Is it clear now? I am representing the degree of freedom or displacement of this particular element in local coordinate system by q dash. So q1 dash for node 1 and q2 dash for node 2. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Others,
Yes, sir.
please
Yes, sir.
respond. Is it clear? Okay. But I have told you earlier that solving a trust problem in local coordinate system is a complex task. So what we do, we convert each and everything in global coordinate system. Now in the second case, if you assume that the same element, if it is placed in global coordinate, if it is placed in global coordinate system, then we know that there will be in altogether 4 degree of freedom. For node 1, 1 degree of freedom along x-axis, another degree of freedom along y-axis. For node 2, 1 degree of freedom along x-axis, another degree of freedom along y-axis. Now let us find out those degrees of freedom. Let us find out those degrees of freedom. Let us assume that this is your global x-axis, this is your global y-axis. This is that element, this is the initial position of the element, and this is the final position of the element due to the application of force at the nodal joints. Fine. Then I have told you that we will be having total 4 degree of freedom for this particular element, 2 at each node. So this is the initial position of node 1, this is the final position of node 1. So along global x-axis, this is the displacement. Say that displacement is nothing but q1, this is 1 degree of freedom. Similarly, along global y-axis, this is the initial position of node 1, this is the final position of node 2. So this distance is your displacement along global y-axis, that is q2. Similarly, for node 2, q3 is the global displacement along x-axis, and q4 is the global displacement along y-axis. Yes or no? And I am representing the displacement in global coordinate system by q. For q dash, I am using local coordinate system. For q, I am using global coordinate system. Is it clear? q1, q2, q3, q4. Any doubt in this?
No, sir. No, sir.
No,
No
sir. No,
doubt.
sir.
Okay, fine. So that means, since I have told you that I have to convert the local coordinate system into a global coordinate system, how I can do? So let us assume that the displacement vector for this particular element in local coordinate system is given by q1 dash, which is nothing but 2 cross 1 matrix q1 dash and q2 dash in LCS. The same displacement vector in GCS, that is given by Q, will be a 4 cross 1 matrix Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Okay, fine. Now there is a relationship between the displacement of local coordinate system, which is Q dash, with the displacement of global coordinate system. What is that relation? For that relation, see what I am doing. I am doing one small construction in this diagram. Observe very carefully. From this point 1, fine, what I am doing? I am just drawing a perpendicular on this particular element, like this. I am drawing a perpendicular on this particular element. That means this angle is 90 degree. And let us assume that this element is oriented in global coordinate system with respect to your global x-axis by an angle theta. Then definitely this angle is theta and this angle is also theta. Okay. So this distance is how much that I need to find out, and this distance is how much that I need to find out in global coordinate system, because this distance plus this distance will be equal to q1 dash. Then we will have one relationship between a local coordinate system, which is q1 dash, with the global coordinate system. Yes or no? That means somehow I have to find this much distance as well as this much distance. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Sir, please repeat
So,
once more.
okay, again I am repeating. What is this q dash? Q dash is the displacement vector of this particular element in local coordinate system. What is this q? Please unmute yourself. The sound is coming. Please unmute yourself. Somebody, please mute yourself. Somebody is unmuted. Okay. Yes, what I was telling. What is this q? This q is the elemental displacement vector of the same truss element in global coordinate system. I have told you in the last class that we cannot use local coordinate system to solve or to analyze the entire truss element by FEM, because that is difficult to solve. What we will do, we will use the global coordinate system to solve the truss problem. That means there exists one relationship between the load, between the degree of freedom of a local coordinate system of a particular node with the degree of freedom of that same particular node
Okay,
with
sir, I
global,
understood by this diagram.
yes, with global coordinate system. Now what is the relationship between q and q dash? That means what is the relationship between q1 dash with q1 and q2 and q2 dash with q3 and q4, that we are going to derive right now. Now it is clear, because we are converting everything in global coordinate system. If we are converting everything in global coordinate system, I am having this distance, that is q1 dash. I have to represent this q1 dash in terms of q1 and q2 for node 1 in GCS, and this q2 dash in terms of q3 and q4 for node 2 in GCS. For that I was doing that construction part. Now is it clear?
Yes, sir, clear.
Okay, so for that what we will do is, we are doing one construction, and that construction is from this no from this node point 1. Fine, I am drawing a perpendicular line on this particular element. That means this is your 90 degree. Let us assume that this element 1 is oriented with global coordinate system along x-axis by an angle theta. That means this angle is theta. Similarly, this angle will be also theta. Now this q1 dash will be what? Will be this particular value plus this particular value. Yes or no? If I add this particular value with this particular value, then only I will get q1 dash. So let us find out how much is this length and how much is this length. If I draw this diagram more clearly over here, it will look somewhat like this. This is your 90 degree. This is your theta. Fine. Then definitely this will be your perpendicular. This is your base and this is your hypotenuse for this triangle. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Fine. So if I want to, I want this particular length. This particular length is nothing but the base value. And how I can get the base value? If I take the cos theta. If I take cos theta is what? Base by hypotenuse. Cos theta is base by hypotenuse. So cos theta is base by hypotenuse. Hypotenuse already I know, that is how much? That is q1. I know that hypotenuse is nothing but q1. So I can write base is q1 cos theta. That means this particular length is nothing but your q1 cos theta. See, I have written over here. See, base is what? It is q1 cos theta. Any doubt? That means this particular length I have got. This particular length I have got. That is q1 cos theta. Any doubt so far? Any doubt so far? Hello.
No, sir.
Please respond whether it is clear or not.
Yes, sir, it is clear.
Okay, fine. Similarly, I need this small distance. This small distance also I need. Then only this q1 dash will be q1 cos theta plus this distance. For that again I have to do one construction. What is that construction? See very carefully. Let me erase the everything, each and everything. Fine. What I am doing is, if I extend this node, if I extend this element like this, fine, then I am getting which triangle? I am getting this particular triangle. That means what I am doing, I am drawing a perpendicular line. That means from this node point 1, if I extend a line like this which is intersecting on this q1, and in such a way that it is making a perpendicular line, it is making a perpendicular line. That means this is that triangle, this is that particular small triangle in which this is your 90 degree and this angle will be theta. If this angle is theta, then definitely this angle is also theta. Then this will be your base, this will be your perpendicular, this will be of hypotenuse. I need this small length. This small length is nothing but your perpendicular. How I can get this perpendicular value? If I take sine theta is what? Perpendicular by hypotenuse, perpendicular divided by hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is what? Hypotenuse is nothing but q2. So I can write perpendicular is q2 into sine theta. That means this particular length is q2 sine theta. Then I can write that q1 dash is equal to q1 cos theta plus q2 sine theta. That is relationship of degree of freedom of local coordinate system and global coordinate system for node point 1. Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Other, please respond. Other people, please respond. Is it clear or not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fine. The same thing we have to do it for nodal point 2 also. This is your q2 dash. This is your q2 dash. So from this particular point, if you draw a perpendicular like this, then this angle is 90, this angle is theta. This q2 dash will be this much length plus this much length. For this much length, this is that big triangle. This is your theta, this is your 90 degree. This side is your base, this side is your perpendicular, this side is your hypotenuse. I need this length. This length is nothing but I need this base value. For that I have to use cos theta. That is cos theta is base by hypotenuse. Cos theta is base by hypotenuse. So base divided by hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is nothing but your q3. So I can write base value is q3 cos theta. That means this particular length is my q3 cos theta. And in order to get this much length, what I want to do, I have already this triangle. I will take this particular triangle. I will take this particular triangle in which this angle is 90 degree. See, this angle is 90 degree and this angle will be theta, because if this angle is theta, then definitely this angle will be theta by geometry. Then in this case, this is your base. That means for this small triangle, this is your base, this is your perpendicular, this is your hypotenuse. I need this particular length. This particular length is nothing but your perpendicular. For that I will use sine theta. Sine theta is what? Perpendicular by hypotenuse. Perpendicular divided by hypotenuse. Hypotenuse value is nothing but your q4 value. So I can write this perpendicular p as q4 into sine theta. This perpendicular value p as q4 into sine theta. That means this q2 dash is how much? This q2 dash is q3 cos theta plus q4 sine theta. Is it clear? Is it clear? Any doubt so far? Hello.
No, sir. No.
Fine. So I can write from that figure relationship between the degree of freedom of local coordinate system and global coordinate system for node 1 as q1 dash is equal to q1 cos theta plus q2 sin theta, and for node 2 as q2 dash is equal to q3 cos theta plus q4 sin theta, which is equation number 1. Now I have told you that there are two direction cosines. One is your L, another is your M. Let us represent cos theta by L and sin theta by M. So if you replace in equation number 1 cos theta by L and sin theta by M, the resulting equation number 1 takes the shape q1 dash is equal to q1 into L plus q2 into M, and q2 dash is equal to q3 into L plus q4 into M. So is it clear so far, this particular expression, this particular equation? Is it clear? This is the equation
Okay.
when I
Yes, sir.
have introduced the direction cosine. Now I have to represent this equation in matrix form. If you write this equation in matrix form, you will get this particular equation. That is 2 cross 1 matrix, q1 dash q2 dash is equal to 2 cross 4 matrix, that is L M 0 0 0 0 L M into 4 cross 1 matrix, that is q1 q2 q3 q4. Now let us see that this matrix equation which we have written, whether this matrix equation is matching with this equation or not. So for that what I will do, I have to multiply the row of the matrix with the column of the matrix then I will get this first equation. Let us see. Q1 dash is equal to L into Q1, Q1L plus M into Q2, Q2M plus 0 into Q3 not present plus 0 into Q4 not present. That means this first equation is correct. Second equation, let us see. That means I have to multiply the second row with this first column. 0 into Q1 not present plus 0 into Q2 not present plus L into Q3 is this value plus M into Q4 is this value. That means this matrix equation which I have written, that is correct. That is correct. So what I am writing in general form, I can write this Q1 Q2 dash matrix by Q dash matrix, and I can write this LM0000LM this matrix by this capital L matrix, and this Q1 Q2 Q3 Q4 matrix by this Q matrix. That is this particular equation. Is it clear so far? Any doubt?
No, sir, got it.
No, sir, no, sir, no doubt.
Okay. Since I think you are not having any classes after this period, yes or no?
No, sir, no.
Then can I, because I want to, then what I will do is I will finish this derivation part. Should I finish it today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So what I am getting? I am getting this Q dash. I am getting this Q dash is equal to L into Q. Q dash is nothing but this particular matrix. L is nothing but this matrix, and this Q is nothing but this matrix. Fine. So if you see the last equation, this capital L matrix, we will call this capital L matrix, which is LM0000LM, as transformation matrix. Again, I am repeating, I am giving a new name to this matrix L, and this matrix L is nothing but my transformation matrix. Any doubt so far? Any doubt so far?
No, sir.
Okay, fine. So if you know that for a one dimensional bar element in local coordinate system, I have the element stiffness matrix as A into E by LE, where LE is the equivalent length of the element. 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. This is the elemental stiffness matrix in local coordinate system. But for elemental stiffness matrix in global coordinate system, I will have a 4 cross 4 matrix. So let us represent this matrix, that is one dimensional bar element stiffness matrix in LCS by K dash. AELE 1 minus 1 minus 1 1 by K dash. What is K dash? K dash is the elemental stiffness matrix for one dimensional truss element in LCS. But I want to convert this one dimensional bar element matrix in LCS into GCS. For that, what I will do, I know that the elemental strain energy for a truss element in LCS is given by strain energy U is equal to half times of Q dash transpose. Q dash is nothing but this value, Q dash transpose, into K dash. K dash is this value, into Q dash. Elemental strain energy for a truss element in local coordinate system is given by U is equal to half times of Q dash transpose into K dash into Q dash, which is equation number 2. Any doubt in equation number 2? Any doubt in equation number 2?
No, sir, no, sir.
But we know that Q dash is how much? Q dash is matrix L into matrix Q. So in place of Q dash in equation number 2, I can replace it by L into Q matrix. Let us replace it. So I can write the strain energy, elemental strain energy is nothing but U is equal to half times of, I am replacing Q dash by LQ. So matrix L into matrix Q's whole transpose into K dash into again this Q dash, again this Q dash, I am replacing it by L into Q matrix, that is L into Q. Is it clear, this last expression? Any doubt in the last
Yes, sir.
expression? I have replaced Q dash by L into Q matrix. So in the first term it is transpose, I have given the transpose. In the last term of Q dash, I have simply replaced it by L into Q. Is it clear? Any doubt?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So next what I am doing is I am just that means this particular value will be what? It will be half times of L transpose into Q transpose into K dash into L into Q. So if I rearrange it, finally I will get U is equal to half times of this Q transpose. I am taking it out of the bracket. See, half times of Q transpose into, in bracket I am taking this L transpose into K dash into L. See, L transpose into K dash into L, bracket close, into Q, which is equation number 3. Only I have rearranged it. Is it clear? Any doubt so far? Any
No,
doubt so
sir.
far? Hello.
No, sir. No, sir.
No, sir.
Okay,
No.
okay, fine. Now, if you compare this third equation with the second equation, what is equation number 2? Equation number 2 is the elemental strain energy matrix for a particular truss element in local coordinate system, because this dash means everything is in local coordinate system, Q dash, K dash, that means everything we are taking it in local coordinate system. But if you see equation number 3, there is no dash. See, I have Q transpose, then L transpose, definitely I am having this K transpose into L into Q. That means this equation number 3 is nothing but the elemental strain energy matrix in global coordinate system, because dash, Q dash represent for LCS and Q represent for GCS. So if you see this particular expression, that is, yes, so if you see this particular, that means I can write, this is what, this is half times of Q transpose into, see, if you compare equation to half Q transpose into K dash, this K dash value is what? It is nothing but L transpose into K dash into L. That means this L transpose into K dash into L is your stiffness matrix for this particular stress element in GCS. So I can write this L transpose into K dash into L by K. K is the elemental stiffness matrix for truss element in GCS. And what is this K dash? K dash is the elemental stiffness matrix for truss element in LCS. So I can write K is equal to L transpose into K dash into L. Now, if you solve this particular matrix, that is, if you multiply L transpose with K dash with L, finally you will get the elemental stiffness matrix for truss element in GCS. So L I have, that is LM0000LM transpose into K dash. K dash already I have, that is A into E by LE 1 minus 1 minus 1 1. This is that value into L. L I am having, that is LM0000LM. So what I am doing, so just taking the transpose of this matrix, that means row will become column, column will become row. When you take the transpose of this matrix, this L0 is nothing but this column will become row, this M0 column will become row, this 0L column will become row, and this 0m column will become row. That means you will get this matrix. You will get this matrix into AE by L. This is your K dash matrix and this is your L matrix. Fine. So in the next step, what I am doing, I am taking AE by LE on the leftmost side. Then I am multiplying this matrix with this matrix. If you multiply it, you will get this matrix. That means this is how much? This is your 4 cross 2 matrix. Order of this matrix is 4 cross 2 and order of this matrix is 2 cross 2. That means ultimately you will get a matrix whose order will be 4 cross 2. Let us multiply row of this matrix with column of this matrix. That means L into 1 is L plus 0 into, yes, that is row with column. Fine. Similarly, if you multiply this, then the same row with this particular column, you will get this value. Similarly, if I multiply this M0 row with this particular column, I will get this particular value, that is M into 1 is M plus 0 into minus 1 is 0, that is M. Then second row with second column, M into minus 1 is minus M plus 0 into 1 is 0 minus M. So if you do like this, you will get this particular matrix, that is L minus L M minus M minus L L minus M M into, this is your L matrix, that is L M 0 0 0 0 L M. Now if you multiply this particular matrix with this particular matrix, finally you will get, that is finally you will get your which matrix? You will get your this particular matrix, that is this particular matrix you will get. So just multiply it, you will get your final this stiffness matrix. Okay, any doubt so far?
No, sir.
No, sir, no, sir.
Okay, fine. So this is the procedure by which I can derive this elemental stiffness matrix for a truss element in global coordinate system. Now if I want to derive the elemental stress matrix, for that what I will do, already I have the value of elemental stress matrix in LCS, that is sigma is equal to E by LE into minus 1 1 into Q dash. Q dash is your displacement of each node in LCS, and obviously the value of Q dash will be, if I consider say element number 1 for node 1, I will have only two values, that is Q1 dash and Q2 dash. But this Q dash already I know, this Q dash is how much? It is nothing but L into Q. So I can replace this Q dash by LQ. Finally the matrix becomes sigma is equal to E by LE minus 1 1 into L into Q. E by LE minus 1 into 1. L matrix already we know, that is L transformation matrix LM 0 0 0 0 LM. And what is Q? If I talk about say, if I talk about say, if I talk about say an element, this is your element number 1 comprising of node 1 and node 2. Then by node numbering scheme, I have displacement along global x axis is q1, displacement along global y axis is q2 for node 1, and for node 2 displacement for along global x axis is q3, and displacement along global y axis is q4, if you follow that node numbering scheme. So then this Q matrix will be Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. 4 cross 1 matrix will be 4 cross 1 matrix. So finally, so next what I am doing in the next step, I am multiplying this matrix with this matrix. I will get this particular matrix, that is sigma is equal to E by LE minus L minus M L M into Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. Now this particular expression is the expression for elemental stress matrix for a one dimensional truss element when you are measuring the coordinate values of each nodal point from GCS. In generalized term, I can write sigma is equal to E by LE minus L minus M L M into Q matrix. Now this Q will vary from element to element. For element number 2, say it can be, for element number 2, say if I am having element number 2 and this is say node 2 and node 3, then this will be your q5, this will be your q6, this will be your q7, this will be your q8, then this value will be q5, q6, q7, q8. So in general I can write sigma is equal to E by LE minus L minus M L M into this q matrix. So if in the problem it has been told to you that for the, say for fourth element, determine how much stress that fourth truss element will exhibit, I will directly use this expression. I will substitute the value of Q for that fourth element. I will substitute the value of L and M. L is your cos theta, which is x2 minus x1 by LE. M is your sin theta, which is y2 minus y1 by LE. And if we substitute and if we solve it, we will get that how much stress that fourth element is resisting due to application of forces at the nodal points or at the joints of the truss member. Okay, any doubt so far? Hello.
No, sir. No, sir.
Fine. Okay. So with this, we have completed the derivation part of the elemental stiffness matrix as well as the elemental stress vector. In the next class, we will solve one problem and we will see how we can solve a truss problem by this approach. Okay.
Okay.
Fine. Okay. If
Thank you,
anybody,
sir.
thank you. If anybody is left to give his or her attendance, you may please write in the chat box or else you can leave the meeting. Thank you.